Assalamu alaikum. My name is Omid Safi, and I'm the founder of Illuminated Tours. I've recorded this video to give you some information about the Umrah program that we have started offering in 2022. It is our hope and prayer, inshallah, with God's permission and blessing, to offer this program every year. And I wanted to share with you a little bit about the hope and the aspiration, the vision behind this program, this undertaking, to see whether what we have to offer is right for you, and likewise, whether you might be a suitable participant for us. If you have looked around at the different Umrah programs that are out there, you'll see that some of them are very, very large, 300 to 400 people, folks drawn from many different backgrounds, and you sort of go there with all the hope and the aspiration and moved through the process. Ours is a very different approach. So to begin with, ours is unapologetically a program that is centered around love and devotion to God and to the Prophet. This program would be most suitable for people who are drawn to spiritual, devotional, mystical, and poetic dimensions of Islam and are looking to grow in those realms. It is motivated by a deep love of the divine qualities of Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, the one whose compassion and mercy enfolds us like the womb, and an understanding of the Habib, the chosen one, the beloved Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam, really as the mercy not only to humanity, but to the whole of creation, the whole of existence. So it's an opportunity to take part in Umrah, and it's also an opportunity to grow deeper in your own love for the Prophet and inshallah your own love for Allah. The program has always been, like the rest of our programs, one that is female majority. I think that is intentional, and it's a distinctive part of our program. It is not one that is simply friendly to women. It is one that is shaped and informed by the lives and experiences and the wisdom and the insight of our female participants. It's open to everyone, but I think it's very important that we be and we remain a female majority program. There's always a mixture of people. Some of them have been Muslim for decades. Many, in fact, have been deeply involved, for example, in the Sufi tradition for years and years. Others might be a recent convert, a new convert, or someone that fairly recently, they might have been born into a Muslim family and tradition, but recently there's been that longing and that yearning to go deeper, to rise higher, and to taste things for themselves. For all of those, we hope that we might be a suitable companion, inshallah. We also aspire to be a rather intimate program in terms of our size. Our first offering was 25 people, and that seems like about the right number. I think we may grow to 30 to 40 people, but probably not much more than that. Part of the hope that we have is that the friendships that you would form on this once-in-a-lifetime journey would be ones that would linger with you, and it would be part of a sense of fellowship and community experience that we would all share in, inshallah. So let me, with some of those practical considerations now ahead, let me talk a little bit about the logistics. Our participants come from many parts of the world. Last year, Our participants came from US and Canada, from Norway, from the UK, from Morocco, and Pakistan, Iran, and elsewhere. So the beginning point of our journey is when our friends arrive in Jeddah. The city of Mecca itself, of course, doesn't have an airport. So we arrive in Jeddah, and we will gather the friends and in perhaps a couple of different shuttles, bring people over to the city of Mecca. Each person arranges for their own visa, and simply a tourist visa is all that is required for performing the Umrah. It's a fairly straightforward process. It's all done online. There's no need to go to an embassy or a consulate for most nationalities, including Americans, Canadians, people of European background, and others. Let me share with you some images which might be helpful for the rest of this conversation. So, we started offering our programs 21 years ago with our Turkey program. That has been our foundational offering, and we've had, I think, something around 1,000 or more friends going through that particular journey. About 6 years ago, we added the Morocco program. And again, by now, we have had a few hundred people going through that particular program. The Umrah program is the next step. And what we hope to do, of course, is to bring the same intimacy and spiritual illumination, rejuvenation that our friends have experienced in Turkey and Morocco now to the even holier sites of Mecca and Medina. So, what is it that we hope to engage in? Certainly, we are going to be taking part in the rituals of the Umrah, of circumambulating, walking around the Kaaba. We like to go early in the morning when it's a little bit more intimate, and to walk forth and back and forth between the two hills of Safa and Marwa, as our great mother Hajar did. We will do the same rituals that everybody else does, but we will also pause to talk about the inner meaning of these rituals. So, for example, we'll be discussing the ways in which the earthly Kaaba that we are walking around is itself a mirror and connected to a celestial and heavenly Kaaba. What we are doing by walking around the Kaaba here is mirrored in heaven by the praise of angels. As above, so below. Here are some of our participants. We have a Brazilian, a Pakistani, white converts, a German convert, people joining us from Dubai and from the United States. Again, women majority, as we often are. And it goes without saying that in many of our religious spaces, in many of our institutions, the treatment of women is far, far, far from ideal. And we're trying to set a different standard here. For both women and men, the goal is to have an environment that is based on respect, on dignity, on honor, and friendship. So here's a fuller shot of many of our participants that you see in that first morning around the Kaaba. For men, you will notice that the men are wearing the two unsewn pieces of cloth, the ihram, and for women, there is modest clothing of a greater variety. We will have lots of discussions about the meaning of the Kaaba. What does it mean to speak of the house of God? What does it mean to have prayer and pilgrimage directed towards this symbolic center? Here are some of our friends as they were arriving from Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the United States, and we're meeting in the Jeddah airport. We'll collect everyone, and our journey really begins at that point. Many people have a dhikr and a dua and a prayer on their lips and in their hearts as we take the bus into the city of Mecca. It's about an hour or so journey. And for many of us to witness the Kaaba for the first time, perhaps, is such a moving experience after having oriented our prayer and our religious life towards it. And it's a moment that we prepare for and anticipate and train our eyes and train our heart in anticipation of it. If we are permitted, we may find a quiet corner of the Masjid al-Haram, the large mosque around the Kaaba, to sit and to have a conversation. The conversation that we were having in this particular circle was about the symbolism of the Kaaba as the heart. As so many of the sages, including Ibn Arabi and Rumi, have said, the heart is also a Kaaba. And it is by returning to the heart that we get to orient our prayers towards Allah. And we will explore some of the teachings of this inner aspects of Islam, this inner meanings of the Kaaba, inshallah, on site. We will then move back and forth between the two hills of Safa and Marwa. And you see the friendship, the respect, the affection that we have. And the friend on the right is a Saudi friend, Basma, who works very closely with our female participants when we are in those spaces where men and women need to be separate from one another. We also have opportunities to see historical and religiously significant sites in Mecca and Medina. We pass by Jabal al-Nur, where Qara Hira is, and friends who wish to can devote a few hours to climb this Qara Hira and be in that cave where the Habib received the first revelation. We try to plan the trip so that we are in Mecca also for a Friday prayers, and we'll do that again this year, inshallah. And then at some point we take a train to Medina. It's a very pleasant 2.5-hour high-speed train. You might see us stop at certain points, retracing the steps of the Habib. So, for example, here is where the Prophet and Hazrat Abu Bakr were hiding from the pagan Meccans who were in search of them. So you really do feel that deep sense of closeness to the experience of the Prophet in these sites. And then we come to Medina. Medina to Nabi, the city of the Prophet. MashaAllah. If Mecca is a city of Jalal, if it's a city of glory and majesty, Medina is a city of Jamal. It's a city of beauty. It's a soft city. It's a gentle city. And it's a city that bears entirely the presence of the Prophet. And we will spend, inshallah, 3 days in Mecca and 5 days in Medina. And every day we will be going to the Masjid al-Nabawi. And of course, the iconic green dome under which was the former house of the Prophet and where he is now buried. So here are another picture of some of our participants on this journey. And inshallah, you might be at such a blessed spot the next time around. It's beautiful to see friends who didn't know each other from before, but just a couple of days into the journey, they find themselves in a deep sense of love and friendship and affection with other participants. And some of the sweetest moments of the journey are in these smaller groups, private conversations and prayers in the area in and just outside of the Prophet's mosque in Medina. We will also talk a lot about the religious and spiritual significance of some of the sites, including things that are not usually talked about, including, for example, the fact that there used to be a garden associated with Hazrat Fatima inside the Masjid al-Nabawi. And when some of these aspects, sometimes identified with the family of the Prophet or the devotional tradition, are being erased, we will attempt to resurrect them and to share those teachings with our friends. Here you see me with my very dear and beloved brother Sidi Hamza, who will be co-leading the program with me, along with our sister Basma. And Sidi Hamza is an American Muslim friend who resides in Morocco. And it's a huge blessing to have the three of us working together, sharing insights, sharing teachings. And so you sort of get a 3-for-1 opportunity to have friends accompany you. You make a reservation to go inside the most private section of the prophetic mosque. And this is done through an app reservation system. And then you come to the Rhoda, the garden, where the Prophet himself, alayhi salatu wassalam, is buried. And of course, we will spend a lot of time preparing you for this. What the main point to keep in mind is, as the Habib himself had said, what is in this Rhoda is actually not a place on earth. It is one of the gardens of paradise. So it's an opportunity to get a sense of paradise while still being here on earth. It's an extraordinarily powerful experience and a place for you to bring your most intimate prayers to. We have also tried to make sure that we have privacy on this trip. So we have reserved a private home in Medina. It's a beautiful, aesthetically sublime home built by Moroccan architects. And it's a gathering place for us to have our discussions. I will be offering, along with my dear friend Sidi Hamza, a whole course on the life and the being of the Habib, of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam, highlighting the spiritual and mystical aspects. So we will gather in this home every morning after breakfast. We'll share our course, our teachings there, and then from there we will go together to the Masjid al-Nabawi. You kind of get a sense of how sublime the setting of this home really is. It is in the shadow of Mount Uhud, a place of extraordinary significance for us. And here you see a picture of a dhikr that we were able to share in this wonderful site. When possible, we will have our lessons outside, sitting as people have for centuries under palm trees. And there's something about being in a place, in a land, on a soil where the Prophet and the companions and the family of the Prophet and countless friends of Allah have walked. And for us to be sitting in that same ground, on that same soil, taking in and partaking of the barakah. We will go together, inshallah, to some of the important historic sites. Here is a visit to Mount Uhud, which of course many of you would know about. We also visit some of the wells that the Prophet ﷺ drank from, and something of his barakah continues to reside in these places. Well, so that kind of gives you a sense of what is in store. We are not interested, as I mentioned, in simply having more and more and more people. I think we're looking for an intimate gathering of friends drawn together by the love of Allah and the love of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam. We want the numbers to remain small enough so that we can get to know each other, so that we can form this bond of friendship and fellowship, and yet to be large enough to have diversity, to have friends from different walks of life, different nationalities, and yet brought together out of this shared commitment to love and seeking and growing deeper in closeness to Allah and to the Habib. We usually set up short little conversations with friends. This is an opportunity to make sure that we are the right program for you and that you are the right participant for us. The more we are mutually on the same page, I think the better it is for everyone. As I mentioned, the starting point of the program is in Mecca and the ending point is in Medina. So you're welcome to fly into Jeddah. And if you wish to fly out of Medina, it's very easy to arrange for multi-city flights in Saudi, in and out of Saudi. Or you may wish to fly into Jeddah and then simply take the short train ride from Medina to Jeddah so that you fly again out of the Jeddah airport. Those are some of the main logistics that are involved. Since we have to make the hotel reservations and to reserve that house in Medina and to pay for buses and so on, we will have a deposit that is asked for in order to secure your space. And we do have the possibility of housing people in double and occasionally triple, maybe even quadruple accommodation if you're coming as a larger family. If you're coming solo, do not have any concern. The vast majority of our participants come solo, and so our policy is to room together, men with men and women with women, of course. And that's something that we've had wonderful experience with over the years in all of our programs. So I hope that this answers some of the basic questions that you might have. We try to make sure that the standard of accommodation is top-notch, that there's some structure in terms of the lessons and the teachings that are offered, and particularly for this program, maybe even more than some of our other offerings, that there's also plenty of personal time for your devotion, for your worship, for your processing time. And that balance of structure and freedom for you is one that I think serves us well. So hopefully this is of some relevance and help to you. I may at some point put up some more information on our illuminatedcourses.com website, illuminatedcourses.com. But in the meantime, I hope that this has been of some service, and it would be a pleasure to answer some more of your questions when we have our ongoing conversation with those of you who are interested in taking part. May God bless you. May you be rewarded, above all, for even the intention to come to Mecca and Medina. And if you are able to come, may it far exceed everything that you have dreamt of. May you find yourself transformed and pulled into the embrace of the divine presence and the very being and light of the Habib, the chosen one, alayhi salatu wassalam. May God bless you.